everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Robyn. I'm Robyn Gray from Kamloops Public Library. And before we start cooking today, I wanted to share a bit of news with you that the library is open again. So we have reduced hours and we're not offering in-person programming yet, but please feel free to come and visit us. It's been really nice to be able to welcome people through our doors again, even if it unfortunately means certain limits in service. On that note, I'm going to continue making these videos, probably only releasing them every second week as opposed to every single week. But if you want to find all of our videos in one place, please visit the library's YouTube channel. So going to YouTube, and I think it's Kamloops Public Library. And all the videos will be there, along with lots of our other kids crafting opportunities and lots of other videos too. So so you can always get your fix, whatever you need from the library there. On that note, please feel free to drop a comment on this video. Let me know if there's ever anything you want to see me try to make, or if there's any other type of virtual program you want to see the library have. Currently we have German, Spanish, ukulele, and craft club for adults, as well as lots of programming for kids. But we're always looking for new ways that we can reach patrons, especially during these kind of interesting times. So now to get started on today's recipe, I'm going to make a Bolognese sauce. A lot of people tend to have kind of their tried and true spaghetti sauce recipe, but I wanted to show you my recipe and just kind of make a few notes about tips and tricks I've learned about making spaghetti sauce along the way, I guess. So as you can hear sizzling right now, so I've cut up two yellow peppers, and 2 cups of mushrooms. And so I've got them in with some olive oil in a big pot. So I'm just going to stir that. I've got them going about a medium-high heat. So there's regular olive oil, or you can feel free to add, just a little promotion for Vine Stations here in Camrose. Basil-infused olive oil is one of my absolute favorites. And I also have a bit of a rosemary-infused olive oil. So I started off with basil-infused olive oil, and I'm just going to add a bit more of the rosemary to this mix. So the deal is, usually if you're making a spaghetti sauce with ground beef, you would have to start off with browning the meat, of course, before you then add the vegetables. Instead of using ground beef just as a cheaper, healthier option, I like to use Ives Italian veggie ground round. So you can actually find this at pretty much any grocery store. It's cheaper than ground beef, it's healthier, and you can just toss it in. You don't have to actually kind of prepare it from being raw. You don't have to cook it ahead of time, basically. I usually keep at least one of these in my freezer, so sorry it looks disgusting, but yeah, so it's wrapped in this. I keep one in my freezer at all times just in case I want to make a spaghetti sauce kind of spur of the moment. I'm going to add this to the veggies now. Okay, so in using the veggie ground round, basically all you're doing is heating it up. It's kind of already pre-cooked and everything. So usually it's a good idea to just cook the vegetables as much as you need to and then add the ground round to make sure that it all gets heated thoroughly. So as much as I mentioned, I used 2 cups of mushrooms and 2 bell peppers. You can feel free to use any leftover vegetables that are in the house that you're trying to get rid of. So carrots, celery, onion, those are all really good additions. You can top it off with spinach after you're done. So soups and spaghetti sauce tend to be my way of, if veggies are about to go bad, I really like to throw them into something so that they don't go to waste, and you end up getting the nutritional value even if the fresh version wouldn't necessarily have tasted as good because they were almost about to go bad, sort of thing. Okay, so right after I've added the ground round, I'm also going to add about 2 teaspoons of oregano, a little bit of basil, about 3 cloves of garlic, and just a half a teaspoon of red chili pepper flakes. And then, depending on who you're cooking for, if people like things more spicy, they can feel free to add some more red chili pepper flakes. You can also add a little bit of salt and pepper at this time. So just a note on making spaghetti sauces, sometimes if it tastes too acidic, so for one thing, make sure that you're buying really good quality canned tomatoes so that they don't make things too acidic. They kind of add that sweetness. But otherwise, feel free to add a pinch or up to a teaspoon of salt. It really brings out the flavor. One thing I got in the habit of doing for a while was adding ketchup to my tomato sauce, just because, tomato paste is quite acidic and it's a great ingredient and a great thickener. But if I didn't have it in the house, I like to add ketchup because ketchup usually has a bit of sugar in it as it is and a bit of salt, and it just adds a little bit of thickness. So I often would add some ketchup into my spaghetti sauce. It used to be every single time I made my spaghetti sauce, it came out different, which could be a good thing, but it could be a bummer if you made it really great one time and then you couldn't achieve it again that way. Sometimes if you ever find your spaghetti sauce is too sweet, so if you're like me and one time you accidentally dumped a whole bunch of sugar in, then adding something like lemon juice or a little bit of vinegar can be a good idea. Once again, promoting my station, I really like their oregano white balsamic vinegar. So usually tomato sauce is already acidic enough, but it can be a fun way to add a bit of flavor, or balsamic or other types of vinegar for that extra flavor. And of course, adding a bit of salt, but not necessarily too much. You can always add more and not take it away. So this has been simmering for about 5 minutes, so I'm going to add a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I usually try and get it no salt added. Okay, so now that I've added that, I'm actually going to bring the mixture to a boil and then leave it for about 25 minutes, kind of let all of those different flavors all combine and let the sauce thicken up. And yeah, then once it's had that time to sit, you can kind of add whatever flavors you would like to on top of that. So this can go, of course, on top of spaghetti, on top of whole wheat noodles instead, or gluten-free, or brown rice, or spaghetti squash. It can go on all sorts of things. And if you end up having just a little bit of this sauce left over, you can set it aside and put it on pizza. It would make a good kind of tomato sauce base for a pizza. And once it's ready, that's when you can kind of add either some spinach or some Parmesan just as a little topping and serve it up. And I really like to make a nice big batch of spaghetti sauce and then freeze some portions. Otherwise, cook it on a Sunday and kind of have it throughout the week as dinner. Basically just make the fresh noodles every time and then you have the sauce all ready to go. And yeah, on the note of using kind of veggies that are on the edge and putting them into this sauce, another tip that I have is you can actually make your own vegetable broth. So if you take vegetable cuttings and peelings and little bits that usually you would put in the compost, if you actually freeze them in a plastic bag, so especially onions and garlic, things that are really flavorful, not as much things like broccoli, which can be quite bitter. And then once you have a big batch, fill up a large pot of water, add all these frozen pieces of veggies and kind of veggie scraps, and boil it for an hour, and add a bit of salt, add a bit of garlic, add a bay leaf, add different seasonings, and then you strain the mixture and you have your own veggie broth. I remember the first time somebody told me that and I kind of scoffed at them. It didn't sound very appealing, but it made the house smell delicious. So yeah, just another little tip for if you kind of want to save some money, use the kind of the peelings that you already have from using those vegetables. Yeah. So that's pretty much everything that I have for today. I also just wanted to mention on the note of the library being open and everything. So a big point of why I made these food videos is I really want to emphasize that if anyone ever wants to come in and say hello, you're more than welcome to. I kind of wanted people to get to know who I am. I realize that sometimes I kind of hide in my office and I want more members of the community to get to know me. And if you want to come in and introduce yourself, say hi. If you want to drop some comments on this post, please feel free to let me know how the library can better serve you. And yeah, hope to see you in person really soon. But otherwise, please keep engaging with our social media. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, thanks so much and have a great rest of your day. Bye.